Welcome back to Switch Movies, where my buddy Ben and I give each other movies to watch and then struggle to agree on them. That's pretty much how this is going so far. It's been 2 months since we've actually done an episode of this. We had planned to do a Christmas episode, but someone, not me, inconsiderately went and got sick, which...
Yes, I was sick for my birthday and Christmas and basically New Year's as well. I apologize. It was real bad in LA. Literally everybody at my job got sick. Almost everybody in LA was sick. It's been a sick winter in Los Angeles, but I mean, I can't really complain because you're in Australia and we all know what's going on there.
Yes, we are burning to a cinder. Yay, us! We're just gonna disappear in a puff of smoke in a minute. So,
Yeah.
I think a little catch-up is in order before we get into today's episode, because I think we jump into things a little fast sometimes, and some people seem to like us when we just talk a little bit more casually. So, first of all, as Ben mentioned, he just had a birthday. He's a year older. He
Don't remind me.
He doesn't look it, though. He doesn't look it. And on top of that, I no longer have to spend the outros of our episodes trying to promote him anymore because he's gone way past 350 subs, past 400, and is now approaching 700. Congratulations.
Almost 700. Yeah, it's happening pretty fast and it's pretty cool. It's started back my Patreon. I started streaming again, so there's a lot more places people can find me, and I'm really just like kind of diving all in this year because yeah, it's hard to like stay consistent with this when you haven't seen a lot of growth, but you get inspired by other people's like not paying attention to you, but you get inspired by your work when you see some fruits of your labor, and I'm finally starting to see them. So it's been a good last few months despite my crippling illnesses.
Well, at least they're not the deadly kind. So it's...
Yes, thank God.
On top of that, part of your success is because you've been busy with SEN Live, which has been going great.
It's almost a perfect storm with how the show started and how other shows have, unfortunately, because they are my friends, like a lot of my friends in LA worked for Collider and were on those shows, and they got canceled, unfortunately, and those people got let go. But when it comes to that, like, their show was on literally the exact same time as ours, so we've kind of gained a bit of that audience, and it's been going really well, and hopefully it keeps going. I'm going to New York I don't know when this is airing, but I'm going to New York the 25th of January for a live show. Like, I've never been in New York City, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, so I don't want to spend the whole time plugging my stuff. I haven't talked to Ashleigh in 2 months either. I want to find out how she's surviving in her Mad Max apocalypse of a homeworld now.
I don't have anything anywhere near as exciting as Ben does. There's more to talk about with him.
Well, that's because they said it. If people watch My Hero Academia, when Bakugo is very jealous of Midoriya because Midoriya never had a quirk, and then he gets a quirk and he starts improving, and Bakugo becomes very threatened. And All Might tells him, he says, a level 1 is gonna improve faster than a level 50. But a level 50 is still better, and Ashleigh is that level 50, and I'm that level 1.
Okay.
So it's easy to see my improvement because I had a very low bar for improvement, but once you reach the level that Ashleigh has reached, like, you can plateau for a little bit, but it's not saying that her content has fallen off. It's saying it's just like it's gonna take a while for the next step. Like, I became a Twitch affiliate really fast, but it's a long, long road to a Twitch partner. So it's like you reach these little milestones really quickly, but then it's going to take a while for the next big one.
Yeah, I think that applies to most people, whether it's YouTube, podcast, or even Twitch. Everybody has that kind of, as I was saying in another video, I was saying that there's that false sense of security, people who like have that rush of good things happening, and then you're going to hit a bit of a plateau and people are like, oh no, I failed, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And that's not how it is. I mean, I've just officially passed the payment threshold of YouTube, which means I'm actually getting my first paycheck from YouTube, which is super exciting. Gained a new patron, so that's really cool. Aside from that, I'm just putting out a lot of YouTube videos at the moment. I think this is the most amount of videos I've ever put up consecutively. Like,
And I think that's gonna help a lot, like with your consistency, because even with the people that you've gained by like just coming into my stream and stuff like that, like because everyone loves you every time you come into the chat and everyone knows you, so just
aw.
making more consistent stuff, and because the quality of your stuff is obviously there,
Oh, thank you.
and then keeping up with your patrons, and you know I've been pushing you to keep streaming either on YouTube or making a Twitch. So just having all these different avenues of when people can catch you, because you are on, like, the time zone thing is difficult for you. It is like, an obstacle you have to overcome, but making all of these things to your advantage. Be like, oh, did you miss my live stream? Well, here's the clip outs from it. Oh, did you miss this? Well, it's on Patreon if you want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many avenues to get money from, and grind out, and you're already there, and so it's just building that out.
I'm sorry, were you telling me to get Grinder?
Yes, absolutely. I think you'd have great luck on there.
That's okay. I could catfish. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll use a picture of you.
I'll go on there, get some confidence booster, be like, all right, I needed this, all right, and then close out the app for all the dick pics before they start coming in.
Oh god. Oh. So
I will say I am jealous of Grindr because they don't waste time. I've like seen my gay friends' Grindr app. They don't waste time with small talk. There's no, hey, how's your day? It's like, no, when and where are we hooking up? Let's get it on. Like, that is the opening message, and it's just like, I respect that. Like, they're not playing any games over on Grindr. They know what they're there for.
well, I mean, and that's just one of the many apps. I mean, it's scary how many apps I know the names of. I probably shouldn't, but I do. But that doesn't say anything about me as a person. I swear to God, it doesn't. But we over here we talk about movies, and I was telling Ben the other day that it was a real shame that we didn't do the Christmas episode, because it would have been the first time that a movie he picked I absolutely loved. And
Oh, I mean, if you hadn't, like, I know I said I'd end the podcast after Hot Fuzz, but I don't know if I could have dealt with you if you didn't like Wonderful Life. Like, I don't know what kind of person you would have been. Like, that's just so strange to me. Because I don't think there's obviously people out there that won't like it, but I don't think I've met any of them. Like, whether they come to it in the last few years or whether it's already like a Christmas staple. Like, it's such a good movie. And when there's just so many moments that I could go over. But yeah, I love that movie so much.
well, the funny thing is, Ben was torn between two films, A Christmas Story and It's a Wonderful Life, and I'm so glad he went with It's a Wonderful Life, because I ended up watching both, and I hated A Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story is so American that I can understand why. Like, with The Christmas Story, that's not like a Christmas staple for me. I like it because it's the dad. The dad in that movie is the funniest fucking thing. When he's fighting the furnace, and then like when his car freezes up and he comes in, he's like, that son of a bitch would heat up in the middle of summer on the equator. Like, that is me and my dad's favorite line.
Aw.
And just like when he's fixing the lamp, and then he goes, and he tried to muster up this amazing comeback, and all he could say was, "Not a finger." He's like, so that the dad in that movie definitely saves it on the 30th repeat viewing. But I can see why someone wouldn't like that one, because it doesn't have as wholesome and as universal message as Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
And it does have Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very American. I mean, guaranteed there are some films that are very American, but there is something in there that a lot of other people can connect with. But for me, I was just like, wow, this is a beloved film. Okay, well,
Yeah.
good for you. I mean, I think it's really just a really strong film about American commercialism, but I mean,
I mean, most Christmas movies are, but at the in the surface of
They
it.
just make it a little bit more joyful, so to mask all
Hmm.
that fun. So, I'll just quickly have a little sip of water here.
Oh
Mm,
no, she's gonna trigger me. She's gonna trigger me,
I
guys. This is what I have to deal
I
with.
don't
I have
know what you're
PTSD.
talking about. I honestly don't know. Did you have a problem with my cup? Was there something wrong
You know,
with
it's
it?
funny. On SEN, Christian is a defender of Fantastic Beasts 2 as well.
Yay! Thanks, Christian.
Yeah, so you are validated for the
For
moment.
the moment until the third one comes out and then all hell breaks loose. But
Why? Like that third one is like the second Avatar for me. Like no one wants it, no one needs it.
I
Just
want it. I
the
need
fact
it.
that there's supposed to be five of those things is so ridiculous. Just stop. And I heard that the new Hunger Games prequel is about President Snow.
Oh wait,
It's like
what now?
why? Why?
Wait.
Oh yeah, the Suzanne Collins is writing the Hunger Games prequel, and it's about President Snow of all people.
No. Oh God.
Exactly.
God damn it.
Exactly.
Oh well. Today we are talking about two films that because we always talk about two films. And the thing is, we don't have a theme. Ben had the genius idea.
No theme.
Let's just go with something random. But before
It's January, baby. It nothing comes out in January. There's no themes to January. The box office abandons January to the cold depths of hell.
maybe in America. So
Sure.
the funny thing is, this is what I want to kick it off with, is that despite the fact that Ben and I picked two films that are completely different genres, have completely different themes, no studios, nothing coming, and yet I pretty much died when I noticed that they both feature Isabella Rossellini.
Who is she an enemy?
She
Is she
was
the girl that
no, she's
stepped
Adam's
on the spider?
mother.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I cracked up laughing, like, what are the chances we pick two random films and they both feature Isabella Rossellini just
That's
11 years
so
apart?
funny. Yeah.
I was cracking up laughing because, like,
Wait, 11 years apart. Way more than that. You say 11 years apart?
oh, 20, 20, 21. Oh, 21.
I was gonna say like it's way more than
I
11.
can't see, my brain still can't fathom that the 90s is that long ago. I can't do
Well, yeah,
it.
I tweeted that out. It was like 1990 is the same distance as 2050. And it's like, oh no, that's not
No,
good.
I don't want
I
to
didn't need
think that. I don't want to
I
think
didn't need
that.
that negativity in my life.
So, we always take it in turns with whose film we start off with. So, Ben, we're kicking off with yours.
Starting with Enemy?
Yeah.
Okay. I picked I've been raving about Denis Villeneuve for quite a long time, probably since Sicario came out.
Mhm.
And then I realized he directed Prisoners, and then I went back and watched Enemy, and then I went back and watched Incendies, and then Arrival, and then Blade Runner 2049, and he's got Dune coming out. So honestly, I feel like that guy was probably the best director of the decade.
Mhm.
I know it's like kind of a thing you have to research, but I don't think he's missed, especially since making American films.
Okay.
And his last two Canadian films were Polytechnique and Incendies, which are both amazing. Like Polytechnique is about, I feel like more Americans should watch that because it's like about a mass shooting that happened in Canada at a school, and the opening of that film is one of the most raw, shocking openings you've ever seen. It was legitimately, I wasn't ready for it. But Enemy, I watched simply because of Denis Villeneuve, and I needed to watch all of his filmography. And it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's a very hard movie to talk about with that. Like I know we always go into spoilers, but it's honestly hard just to like synopsize this movie.
Mm.
Uh, Jake Gyllenhaal is a professor, and it turns out he's watching a movie one night, and he sees himself in the movie, and it's not a mistake, and he ends up tracking his doppelganger down, and meanwhile his doppelganger, so Jake Gyllenhaal's a teacher, he's called Adam, and then what's the other one called?
Anthony. Yeah.
Anthony's the actor. So Adam tracks down Anthony, and They both have significant others. They both think they're both acting weird because they both meet Anthony and Adam switched around, and Anthony is cheating on his wife in this what's that Stanley Kubrick film with Tom Cruise? I should know this. It's like one of those high like
I should too.
those like sex yeah, those sex clubs. I can't think of what it's called. Like basically like that. Hold on. This is going to bug me. You can cut this part out.
Yeah, that whole scene was like something that should be found on the dark web. Actually, that shit is found on the dark web, so...
Eyes Wide Shut. There it is.
Oh.
Eyes Wide Shut. So it's like an Eyes Wide Shut type of party that Anthony goes to, where it's just like rich guys and watching women do things. And there's like this... I watched this movie 3 times, and I still don't know what the spiders mean. And I've looked up theories, and I'm excited to see what Ashley says, because she's pretty good at deciphering movies, or at least coming up with her own theories. And so this movie's just like this huge mind trip, and I really enjoyed it because it's... Movies like this, like Annihilation, can sometimes get up their own ass, and it walks a very fine line of... to where, like, I like open interpretation movies, but sometimes it could be like, this could be anything. Whoa, film. Like, oh, no, you have to give me something. Like, you as the filmmaker and writer have to establish some kind of rules.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, it can literally be anything. And I feel like they walk that tightrope very well in Enemy, to where when you see a skyscraper spider for a 3-second scene on the Toronto skyline, you're like, what? But in the end, like, it can still make sense of what eventually happens. And the final scene of this movie, which I do want to tell Ashley to not spoil, because, like, that is the one thing. That's the one thing we won't spoil, because it is the most shocking thing. And I was not ready for it, because the movie lulls you into the finale. And, you know, like, there's rising action and falling action in a movie. And this is all falling action. And then this ending hits you, the last scene, the very last scene, and it's just like, what? And then it's credits, and I love it. Ashley, what did you think about Enemy?
Okay, well, as I was watching it, my thoughts were, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, that's fair.
That was the main consensus for me. Yeah, this, hard no from me. Hard no from me. Look, as soon as you gave me the name and I looked it up and I see the words psychological thriller, I was immediately like, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm happy. I like psychological thrillers. And then I saw it's a Canadian-Spanish film, and I'm like, I don't think I've come across this combo before. I'm doubly intrigued. I hit play on the movie, and the first thing I see is A24, and I went, fuck. I have such a disdain for A24 films. I'm sorry.
I love them, and I feel like this is one of A24's more accessible films. Because have you seen Ghost Story?
I haven't. Like, I originally was like, yeah, I will, and then after a while, I'm like, screw it.
Like, A24, and that's the thing, is that I like A24, but I can't fault anybody for not liking a majority of A24's films, because they are out there, and I'm not saying this, like, kind of saying to Ashley, because she knows what she's talking about when it comes to film, but they're very hit or miss, and they're very cerebral in how they approach things, and
totally.
Especially with how they market them, because I know one of them was It Comes at Night, and it was marketed as this horror film, and it's not at all. It's not a horror film. I still really enjoyed it, but I saw it way, way later when it was on Amazon Prime, so I already knew that it wasn't a horror film. I already, like, had seen the reviews for it,
right.
like, non-spoiler reviews, but they're like, don't think this is a horror film, and I was like, okay, I won't. And so I was more prepared for it, so maybe that helped. But The Lighthouse just came out this last year, and that was one of my favorite films of the year. I love Hereditary and Midsommar.
I do like Hereditary. I will give you that.
Yeah. All right, go on then.
No, I've tried with A24, and I'd seen a lot of A24 films before I even knew what A24 was. So it's not like I just had this blind bias against them. It wasn't until much later when the company's name was starting to get mentioned a lot more instead of just the film names. And so as I'm
just looking up other A24 films.
so
I just want
as
to
soon
see.
as I started going through and like I would see people making these A24 lists, and I'm going, hang on, I hate majority of what is on this list. So I actually started looking them up. I'm like,
Amazing.
oh my god, do I just hate A24? Because I'm like, hate it, hate it, hate it. I'm like, okay, there's one I like. Hate it, hate it. Kind of on the fence on this one, but
Yeah.
most of them I'm just like, no, these are not for me. I don't know. I think that this is a film that, although it's called a psychological thriller, I think a lot of the time with A24 films, you can't really slap a genre on it.
No, I agree with you on that. Like their genres are very broad
Yeah.
in their definition, and I feel like they almost have like it's IMDb assigning a genre. I don't even think it's A24. I feel like they just like, this is the movie we made. Y'all can do with it what you want.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, looking at, like, Ex Machina is one of the best sci-fi films. Tusk, oh, Jesus Christ, Tusk. I didn't know that was an A24 film. That's amazing. Under the Skin, Spring Breakers, I hated. What else is there? A Most Violent Year, I like that one. What else? Mississippi Grind. Mississippi Grind is an A24 film. Room is an A24 film. The Witch.
Hate The Witch.
Green Room, The Lobster. You hate The Witch? I
hate
loved it. Swiss Army Man. I feel like you're more of a jump scare person when it comes to horror, though. Moonlight, American Honey. God, like just seeing like all the movies they produce, like there's some good stuff on
with
here.
horror. I 100% yes, I am a jump scare person, and I do prefer there to be a certain level of creativity and technique in how the jump scares are executed. So it's not just like keep throwing things at the screen and hope something sticks. I'm not not that easy. Psychological thriller is second to that, or on par with horror. I love films that do make me think and do make me analyze things, and I like to think I'm a smart person, and then I sit down and watch an A24 film like, oh, I feel like a fucking moron. I can't get shit from these.
I don't know, like I don't, and that's the thing is that I don't want like, I never want to be like, oh, I love A24 films. You don't? I suppose. Where's my monocle? No, but like they're like looking at this list, I can see movies that I like do not like, or can see other people not liking them. Like I said, you know, Spring Breakers is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and people were hyping that up for years, and I finally watched it. Crap. But a lot of them, especially horror, for some reason A24's horror really does it for me. I don't know. I think it's because I'm not a big jump scare fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with jump scares when they're earned.
Right.
But like the Blair Witch, the sequel, which is one of the dumbest movies of all time, just like in plot. Oh, I think this is a video of my sister from 20 years ago. She might still be alive in the woods. What the fuck? She's dead, buddy. Like, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Your sister's not Bear Grylls.
No.
She's gone.
That was a terrible film.
But like there's literally a moment where within 30 seconds there's 3 jump scares and they're all caused by other people, and finally someone turns around and says, "Will you stop doing that?" I'm like, just because you comment on being meta doesn't make the last 4 jump scares like not on purpose.
Yeah.
And so like that's where I draw the line. Like there are good jump scares in a movie. Like A Quiet Place is the perfect like culmination of jump scares for me, where you're building tension for so much with all the silence in the movie, and then suddenly like it's not even really a jump scare, it's just someone making a noise, and then like it's more of the tension of them making the noise rather than like someone around the corner, and then suddenly like the alien is right there. Because like Tremors is one of my favorite all-time movies and one of the best monster movies ever made.
Okay.
But you could like get away from Tremors. You could like get away from them if you made noise. You can, you know, someone's like pogo sticking and then they're okay. And like Kevin Bacon outruns a tremor, and it's like this is good fun. I love this.
Oh, God.
It's a little girl from Jurassic Park. But in Quiet Place, you break a twig and those things are on your ass within 10 seconds. And so I liked that part of it. And so with The Blackcoat's Daughter and Hereditary and The Witch and Midsummer, I know. Blackcoat's Daughter took me a few times to watch it, but like once I sat down and watched it all, and I'm not a fan of Emma Roberts at all,
Neither am I.
but I liked that the time jumping in the movie. Oh, I loved it. I thought it was so good.
I see, that's the thing. Although I find A24 films really hard to discern and figure out and everything, the funny thing is watching The Blackcoat's Daughter, within about 15 minutes, I'd already figured out what the hell was going on, and I knew, even though it's not revealed to the end, I'm like, oh yeah, I already know this. I know what's going on then by the time. And so I was saying that to someone, they're like, I love this film, you just can't see that ending coming. I'm like, really? Because I saw it in the first 15 minutes, so...
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of... I'm just like, too easy. Nope. I mean, I think, and this may just be me, but I think with A24 films, one of the reasons I personally don't think that they're that good when it comes to horror, and like I said before, A24 just really cannot be fit into any one particular genre. But one reason I'm not a fan of their style of horror is because I feel like there's no emotional investment in their horror stories. And that's one of the things that I really like in, or what is a good horror film for me. I want to feel invested in these characters. I want to be able to get on their level. That way, if something happens to them, there's more of a stake in it, as opposed to, you know, trying to watch a fucking Hostel film. It's like, here's some random strangers, watch them get tortured. I'm like, and what's your point? I don't care.
You like Bloodfest, Ashley?
It was funny. That's horror comedy,
that was the
not
first
flat
movie
out
on
horror.
Switch Movies. You don't give a shit about Ned in that film.
It's a horror comedy. It's completely different. And they establish our main character's backstory. We understand why
Then
he
watch
likes
a good horror comedy. Watch Shaun of the Dead.
I would rather watch Club Dread. That's my favorite horror comedy. So there you go.
That's a good. That's a good horror comedy.
The thing is, when I was watching this film, I'm sitting here screaming, fuck you, Ben, on repeat. And I'm just going, I hate this guy. I hate this guy so much. I'm like, first Mandy, now this.
Oh, Mandy, so good.
I feel like Ben definitely has a type of film that he loves. Like, I know you love everything. We both do.
I legitimately cannot believe you didn't like Mandy, because it has so many nods and homages to every horror film you've ever gushed about, and putting that in this amazing revenge story covered in...
I just don't care.
And blood and drugs and sex and magic, like, and the most beautiful colored cinematography you've ever seen, and this crazy metal/synth soundtrack, like... And then it's gonna end with a fucking chainsaw fight. Like, I do not understand how that movie is not tailor-made for you.
Shows how well you know me. Watching this movie, I had to keep the Wikipedia page open because I'm just like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna start reading the plot to this, just so that maybe going further in, I have some idea of what the hell I'm watching. Turned out, reading Wikipedia did not help me at all. But, here's the thing, by the time I got to the end, and it told me what the final scene was, which you've requested I do not spoil, so I will not spoil it, I immediately went, hang on a minute, I know this scene. I haven't seen it yet on the screen, but I'm going, oh no, I know this, because somebody put it on Twitter and retweeted it like a year or two ago, and they're just like the most shocking end in film history.
I think I remember that.
And I was just like, okay, well, what does that mean? And I clicked on it, and I pretty much had a freaking heart attack and went and cried in the corner.
Yes, right?
And I was just like, no. And so I went, oh no, no, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to get to that part. And so by the time we get there, I'm just like, no, make it go away, because I can't even say the word, because if I do, it spoils it.
I know what you're saying. I can't.
Because
you were just talking about it the other day, so.
I can't do it. I can't do it. So first, even just like at the start of the film, and you got her stepping on one, and I'm just like, ha ha, oh no. Like it's
You honestly, I'm okay with you saying it involves spiders because they're still never gonna guess what the ending is.
well, they may have an idea now, but yeah,
That's fine.
I don't
You think they know.
I don't like the word. I don't like them. I'm absolutely fucking petrified of them. I will cry. I will sob. I will become a freaking mess. And even though I knew it was coming, I'm like, there's just no way I can mentally prepare myself for this.
No,
And then it
not at
happened, and
all.
I'm like, even though I can hear the sound, and it's the sound of this thing being scared, I'm like, I don't fucking give a shit. I don't want you here. So, but as for can I figure out what the fuck all these spiders mean? No, I cannot. I have no idea. I got nothing. I don't know what I'm looking at all these reviews of people talking about what this film symbolizes. I'm like, I don't know how we got from there to there. I mean, good for you, but I'm just like, I have no idea. And it's interesting reading some of these things on what the subject matter is, and I'm still like, usually you can hear someone say, oh, this film is a commentary on da 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 da, and you can kind of, once you hear that, you go, oh, okay, I see that. I'm reading that, and I'm like, nah, still ain't seeing it. I'm not getting it. And then somebody said something on how that and the end of the film is is a subject on how controlling women are, and I'm going, the women do not have zero control in any aspect of this film.
Yeah, that's a bad interpretation.
No, especially that final scene. Like I said, you can hear this thing is scared. I don't want to picture it, and I don't want to think of the sound, but that was a sound of fear. So yeah, I was just like, I'm gonna call that one a miss. I mean, I respect your opinion and all, but I don't know how you got there.
Yeah, but it's like that. It's like that meme is like a person on either side of like a number, and it's like, I see a 6, I see a 9. It's like, see, it doesn't. It's just a matter of perspective. It's like, no, that may be true, but someone either wrote a 6 or a fucking 9, so one of y'all motherfuckers are wrong. Like.
That's true.
Like, that's all well and good, but someone had the intention of writing a 6 or a 9, so somebody is wrong.
That is too funny. That's like, a while ago, some gatekeeping Star Wars fanboy.
Oh, God, I saw that. It's the dumbest.
Hang on,
was that
hang on.
this
That
year?
was a broad thing. I could have been saying a number of things right now. Which one am I gonna say?
I know what you're talking about.
Which one am I gonna say?
Where he was like, you're not a Star Wars fan if you just watch the movies.
No, that's not what I was gonna say.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was gonna say this.
That was a really bad one.
That was a dumb one. But no, this guy, it was, would have had to been, it was just after The Last Jedi came out. And so this guy, he's going on this lecture about who Yoda is, what Yoda represents, and the intricacies of his character. And this other guy comes along and he says, that's incorrect. And he goes, sorry, I've been watching Star Wars, da-da-da-da, I've read the books, I've done this, I think I know more about what's going on, and everybody is coming, he's like, you realize you're replying to the guy who fucking created the character, right?
Yeah, it was Frank Oz. I remember that. He was like, no, it wasn't even, he knew who, like, because it was on Twitter, and he knew, like, who Frank Oz was. He's like, Frank, just because you played him, you've only played him a few times over the years. I've been studying him for my entire life. And everyone was like, what the fuck are you... What?
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to argue with Mark Hamill about Luke Skywalker. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's one of those things. I mean, I feel like that's, that's the same thing. You can say you have an interpretation of it, but you weren't there in the writer's room. You didn't play the character. You didn't have to become the character. So I think those people know a hell of a lot more than you do. So I'm fine with somebody saying that they watched a film, and even if it's this one, and say that this is what they got from it, because films are art, they're subjective, and everybody's going to get something different from them. That's the whole point of them. But there is, at the end of the day, one main thing that the director or writers were trying to tell a story about.
Yeah.
And so if the director or writer comes and says, well, this was the purpose of my film, this is what I was going for, and you go, oh no, you're wrong. Like, I'm sorry, what?
I remember when that movie Mother came out, the Darren Aronofsky one.
Oh yeah.
And my friend like posted like how much he liked it and how it was about like celebrity culture and all these different types of interpretations. And granted, you could interpret that from the film. But Darren Aronofsky came out and said it was literally a direct interpretation of the Bible. Like, have you seen Mother?
I haven't, but I do know everything that happens in it.
Yeah.
And reading and even just looking at the plot on Wikipedia, I didn't know it was about anything religious, but just reading it, I'm like, I feel like this is a modern day adaptation of the Bible.
Yeah.
And then I find out it was, and I'm like, oh, cool, I read that right.
And it was just like, he's literally like on talk shows and interviews saying like how Jennifer Lawrence represents Mother Earth, and like the spirit of Mother Earth, and the house is Earth itself, and Javier Bardem is God, and Ed Harris is Adam, and is it Sharon Stone in that movie?
Michelle Pfeiffer, wasn't it?
Michelle Pfeiffer, that's right. I always get those two mixed up. Michelle Pfeiffer is Eve, and then they get banished from the Garden of Eve, and it's like, it's literally right fucking there. And Donald Gleason and another actor, I can't think of who it was, are Cain and Abel, and Cain kills Abel, and then, the New Testament is what he writes, and it's just like, it's literally right there. And Darren Aronofsky said it himself, and I commented on his Facebook thing. I was like, I think it's just about the Bible, dude. Like, it's pretty black and white. And he's like, no, man, you can't let the Bible fuck you up like that. Like, it's just so. I'm like, I'm not saying the director is saying, the writer is saying this.
Oh,
like,
man.
It's not like this deep philosophical movie.
Yeah.
It's just an interpretation of a written text.
Yeah.
That's like super gritty and intense and in your face. And it's like, I'm not like, this isn't me interpreting. Like, this is him. Like, this is the source.
I mean, that is one of the downsides with films. I love that we can all have so many different ways of looking at a film, and this is obviously going to be one of those where I'm seeing a lot of people have very different takes on it. I mean, so the question is, what is your take from this film?
I feel like the spiders represent the addiction, because every time something in that area, whether it's strictly about the club that he goes to, whether it's just about cheating, whether it's just about his control, whether it's Adam or Anthony, I feel like the spiders represent that addiction. And because I feel like every time, and especially like the tall giant one, I feel like that's like the turning point of the film, where like both men are trying to like, maybe grass is always greener, and then they like, Anthony realizes, oh, this is what I can do. I can go hook up with someone else looking like Adam, but it's technically won't be cheating for some weird fucked up reason in my brain. And that's when you see the giant spider like just towering over the city. And I need to watch that scene again, because I want to see like if you can, because I think it's like 3 seconds long, if that. But I want to see if you can see where it's going, if like you can see Adam's school in it, like Anthony's office building or anything like that, if there's any landmarks in that shot of where that spider is heading, or if it's just looming over the city. And I feel like that's my most basic interpretation. I could watch this movie 10 more times and find 10 different interpretations, honestly, but I felt like that was my initial one. because especially her stepping on the spider at the beginning, like that was like the end
Mm.
of the session.
Mm-hmm.
Like you walk in and there's that girl doing her thing, and then that was like almost like the climax of the show was that, and then once she steps on the spider, it cuts, or like it cuts before the spider gets stepped on. Um, and so like I felt like that was like the end of the show and like the end of the addiction for that moment.
I feel like I have pieces. I
Hmm.
feel like I have pieces to a theory, but I can't bring it together. That's kind of annoying me because that's like one of my
Yeah.
things that I love being able to do, and I'm like, this film's one up to me. God damn you. Because I feel like, I mean, obviously there's that opening scene, and I know that there are actually people in the dark web who get paid to, women in high heels who get paid to step on animals. It's really like, why? Who the fuck has that as a fetish? Seriously, people
It's weird.
fucked up. So I feel like there is some kind of I feel like there's something going on, like how we're in this kind of continuous web. Spiders are almost always a metaphor for some kind of tangled web or something, although I feel like that
Hmm.
this is just that. Because I'm still thinking about, okay, spider gets crushed at start of film. We have something sounding very scared at the end of it, like it knows that the loop is like a cycle is being repeated or something, because
Yeah.
he finds that key and it's like he's going to go down and do the same thing, and
Yeah.
it's like I've got things. I can't, I try to put them together and I'm struggling. I'm really struggling here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask, out of 5, what do you give this?
I give this movie like a solid 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I'd say just on Denis Villeneuve's list is probably lower for me, but I still really enjoy it. And just because, like, when a movie like this can suck me in, then, like, you've done something right. Because
Mm-hmm.
I like thrillers, but this is more leaning on, obviously, like, the open interpretation thrillers, where, like, I don't need to be spoon-fed, but you still got to have evidence, like, leading up to, like, a somewhat solidifiable conclusion.
Yeah.
Like, Inception, you can take all these different interpretations from it, but there's evidence for each one.
Right.
Like, there's evidence for each interpretation. Like, oh, the top kind of wiggled, but it's not really his totem. Oh, but there's this scene, like, where the alley's closing in on him. Is that a dream? You never see the faces of these guys. Like, there's all these different things of Inception where you can, like, point to be like, that's a dream, that's real, that's a dream, that's real.
Right.
This one, there's really no, like, set in stone thing that you can make sense out of.
Mm.
Dare I ask what you give Enemy?
I give. This is one of those times where I have to pull out one of my rarely used rating systems. And so
Oh no, is she gonna kill it with fire?
I'm not. I'm giving Enemy a rating of it's complicated.
Oh, okay.
Which
I'll take
I
that.
haven't had to use that one in a while, because I can't figure it out. And I can't go and say, I hate this film because I don't understand it, because that's not fair. That I know there are people who do that. I don't do that because I think that's kind of stupid. And so I can't give it a definitive answer. I mean, if someone could explain it to me, like if I could sit down with the director and say, please explain this to me while we watch it together, maybe then once I understood it, I could give a rating, but I can't. I can say without a doubt the performances are really good. Jake Gyllenhaal does a great job. I think he definitely depicts two people, and you can look at them and they may look alike and you go, but there is a discernible difference between personalities. It's very obvious. So the performances are good. I just have no idea what it's about. So yeah, it's complicated. That's my take on it.
That's fair. I'll take it's complicated. Absolutely.
At least.
All right, let's hear your movie.
My film is one of my favorite films of all time. This would be one of my Desert Island films. This is probably in my top 5 favorite films of all time, which is 1992's Death Becomes Her, which is directed by Robert Zemeckis and written by David Coeb and Martin Donovan, starring Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, and Goldie Hawn. And it follows 2 women rivals who both take an elixir potion of eternal youth, and basically, shit get crazy. And this is the most quotable film between me and my brother since my childhood. This is the film where we just, like, it's not even we say hello to each other. It's my brother will just suddenly look at me and go, I have a hole in my stomach, and my hello to him is, yeah, and you're still alive. That's how we say hello to each other, pretty much. So, I love this movie. I can't tell you. I freaking love this movie. I've seen it a million times. Started in my wee young youth. I have so much fun with it. There's so many fun snippets from it. It has so many pop culture references that probably a lot of people overlook or just certainly didn't.
Yeah, especially in that final ballroom scene.
Yeah.
I caught a few of them.
I'm gonna ask you about that. I am.
No, the darkest one was him stealing the car and whose car he stole. I was like, damn, movie, like.
I think it's safe that we can talk about it on account of the fact that this film has been talked about and broken down a lot over the years. I mean, when it came out, it pretty much did not do very well, but it has become a cult classic, especially in the gay community. Sure. It's been loved ever since. So, we have a character who, as both our films had Isabella Rossellini, and in this one she plays Liesl, who is this woman in her 70s who does not look as though she's in her 70s, and she has created this potion to make you live forever and stay young forever. It kind of rejuvenates you. And she basically says that she has a lot of celebrity clients, and she has this rule that once you take the potion, you have 10 years of doing whatever the hell you want, and then you have to disappear. Fake your death, do whatever. So she drops a lot of hints at who some of her clients are, and then she has a big party towards the end of the film where her clients actually come. So it's like a Where's Waldo, trying to spot all the little. So I want to know, which celebrities did you spot?
The main one I really spotted, obviously there's Elvis, but the main one I spotted was James Dean. And I like him smoking by the car, and I was like, that's a little dark, but I appreciate that. But I do want to just, like, kind of get into it, is, like, why are they falling apart so bad when no one else is? Is it because they all go to the spa regularly and get taken care of? Because they needed Bruce Willis to fix them up, and then, at the end they fall down the stairs and shatter into a million pieces.
Such a good moment.
But why does no one else look like warped mannequin dolls, because years later?
One of the first things that Liesl says to Madeline right after she takes the potion, again, that's another iconic line, now a warning, and what she says is, you and your body are going to be together for a long time. Be good to it. I think she should have been a little bit more clear on that warning. They don't put that on the bottle.
So, like, and that's, like, such a vague rule, because, like, it doesn't seem like they do anything, when they're looking for Bruce Willis after he runs off. Like, it didn't seem like they'd done anything, at least on camera, and they had, like, the scar right here, and then she peeled on her back a little bit. And
well, that's not a scar. It's the fact that when you die, obviously, blood pumped, all that stuff stops, so you lose color. So they had the color of corpses. So he spray painted them, and spray paint and skin aren't meant to be things that last forever. So basically, they've been running around, they've been moving, and the spray paint is starting to peel off.
Got it.
So that's the main thing. It's like, oh crap, it's like we're just falling apart. But yeah, I mean, everybody else has clearly been really good at taking care of themselves. I don't think anybody anticipated that there would be two women who absolutely loathe each other just fucking getting into it and killing each other. And I don't think that one had been encountered before. So I think that they were just like, it's like, oh, well, everybody knows just, everybody's a bit more self-obsessed and they didn't have anything else going on, so it's easier to take care of themselves. Where in this case, did anybody know that someone's going to go push this one down the stairs or this one's going to get shot? Like,
Yeah.
No, they just ended up as a hot, hot mess. Um,
Yes, they did.
some of the other cameos at the party. Let's see, we had Andy Warhol.
Okay.
We have Marilyn Monroe.
I did see Marilyn. Yeah, I remember Marilyn now.
Jim Morrison is the guy in the pool who is like, "Are you done yet?"
Ah, okay.
And I can't remember if she was. I think they say she was at the party. I didn't notice her, but when Liesl is dropping a hint as to one of her clients, she's quoting Greta Garbo. It's an incorrect
Okay.
Greta Garbo quote where she says, "I want to be alone," and that's why Madeline's like, "No." Which is apparently, actually, Greta Garbo said, "I want to be left alone." She didn't say, "I want to be alone." But, yeah, so...
Ah, okay, gotcha.
So that's meant to be a reference to her, so obviously she's a client. I love all these really... Elvis is the only one who's very on the nose.
Yeah, it's very obvious. But yeah, that was like a fun little like you said, like Where's Waldo Easter egg almost hunt of that party. And I feel like if they would have leaned into that more, I would have enjoyed it. This movie's strange because like nothing happens until the third act.
Okay.
Like it's really spinning its wheels, and I feel like the movie knew that it was kind of a thin premise to where you could only have these women beat the shit out of each other for so long. But I mean, like that could have been like a whole thing where like they're like plotting to kill each other or find ways to kill each other, something like that, like almost like a Tom and Jerry thing where like they're just cartoon characters almost and they just can't die. But just like she gets really fat and with cats and goes into an insane asylum, and then suddenly the next scene she's, rejuvenated, and then
Well, I did at least
and then-
timestamp the time jump, so there's
yeah,
that.
they did.
I mean, they established in the start of the film that this has been Helen's life forever, with Madeline stealing her men, and
Yes.
she's just officially fucking snapped, eating bloody frosting out of
with
containers.
her fingers. Oh, that's so awful.
I mean, there's one thing you got to say is that they did really good work on that fat suit
Oh,
and
the
those
makeup in
prosthetics.
this movie is amazing.
I mean, this film did win the 1993 Oscar for Best Visual Effects, and so
I don't doubt it.
so it beat out Batman Returns and Alien 3. It was so progressive at its time, and Meryl Streep did actually say that was one aspect she hated to the film. She liked doing the film because it's a character that that is not typical for her, so that's why she was drawn to it. But she hated how much it relied on visual effects, and she said that it was the one time she'll do it and she'll never do it again. So we won't be seeing her in any future MCU movies, that's for sure. But
Oh, I would love to see a de-aged Meryl for some weird reason.
But I mean, I think that's really unfortunate, because if you look at like the budget it had and the things it had, it was the first film to use photorealistic software. It really was, and it deserved the award that it got. So it's really, even if people don't really know it, it really was setting a benchmark and starting things for techniques and things that we now use today or have perfected upon. And it's so funny to think there's actually so many other films that benefited from this film, and so many people don't even realize it. Like Jurassic Park is one of them.
Jurassic Park came out the same year, though, didn't it?
But here's the thing. Samuel L. Jackson's line that everybody knows in Jurassic Park. Here you go. There's a movie trivia question. What is...
Hold on to your butts.
Yes. So that was a line written by David Coeb, who does the script to Death Becomes Her. He wrote that line for Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park because Robert Zemeckis said it all the time while directing Death Becomes Her.
That's funny.
So that was a little tribute to him. He's like, well, he said it all the time, we're going to throw it into this movie. It's just, like little things like that you wouldn't... You'd just think, oh, that's a funny thing. You wouldn't think, oh no, I got it from this other dude who I've worked with so many times. It's something that he loves to say. I mean, I think that obviously that's like an inside joke, so obviously Zemeckis probably would have watched the film and go, "Aw, you put a reference
Well,
to
yeah,
me in there. That's so nice."
like I feel like that. I literally just watched Bad Boys for Life, and Michael Bay has a cameo. Like Michael Bay didn't direct this new one, but there's a Michael Bay cameo, and he makes a toast at a wedding, and there's like this 360 shot of Michael Bay, and he does like the perfect turn to face the camera every time, and I'm like, did they just Michael Bay shot Michael Bay? And they literally said that in an interview. They're like, we had to do a Michael Bay shot for his Michael Bay cameo. And he knew the shot so well, they did it in one take. To where, like, because the camera's spinning and you have to turn and find it again. And he did it in one take because he perfected that shot. And I was like, okay, that's a perfect little homage / troll towards Michael Bay. Because he's making, like, a fucking wedding toast. It's not like some action scene where you need this 360 shot. But Michael Bay would do that because he's a fucking hack. And so it would be it's perfect for him.
Oh my God.
There's like this action 360 shot is on during a wedding toast.
That is super funny. You can't deny that. It's things like that you just gotta appreciate. It's also more fun when the people involved or the person who's like the butt of the joke actually can get in on the humor and go, okay, that's funny. I love when people can do that.
Yeah, and it was nice. Like I didn't love this movie or anything, and like I said, it felt a little slow for me getting into it. I feel like it was a fun movie because the talent on screen is just so great. And it's nice to see. It's always nice to go back to like the 80s and 90s and see Bruce Willis try, because he just does not give a shit anymore. And I'm like, man, he used to be so great, and especially him playing like this. I hate to use the term, but like this beta male type person where he's like so submissive and like always getting fooled by these powerful women. Yeah. Like he's usually like an action hero and like, you know, a man's man or whatever you want to call it. So it was nice to see him act and play against type. And same, like you said, with Meryl Streep, she's, besides like Devil Wears Prada, like I feel like she's never really this type of character. And then Goldie Hawn, like they're sniping at each other is so great, and like their passive aggressiveness, and I've seen it like in real life when girls like, oh my god, I hate that bitch. Oh hi, like it's so good. And so like there are moments to like about this movie, but I feel like if they would have gotten to the rejuvenation part faster than literally an hour into the film, I feel like is when Meryl takes it. And
I don't think we're quite that far into the film when she takes it.
Or maybe it's like an hour into the film where you find out that Goldie Hawn also took it, to where like there isn't much after, like there's just like the last 30-40 minutes of this movie are just like, okay, so what are you gonna do now? Because like Bruce Willis wants to leave, but he can't, and then they go to this party to make him take the potion, and then he doesn't. And I've seen the ending to this film apparently, like because I knew exactly, like I'd seen it somewhere else, like the same way you saw the ending of Enemy.
Oh my god, there are so many similarities going on today.
Yeah, I was like, seeing it's, you know, I probably saw it like on TNT or TBS sometime. And I was just like, oh yeah, I have seen this. Oh yeah, because he falls through the, yeah, I know, I've seen this before. But no, it was a fun little light movie, and I get why it's a cult classic just because of the talent behind and in front of the camera, and it's just so catty. It's so funny.
It so is. I mean, growing up watching this, my brother had a giant cardboard cutout poster of this, and I mean the really good kinds, like you flip it open, like, you know, Transformer style cardboard cutouts. And so you still had like the hand through, and there was the hole and the candelabra and everything.
It's such an iconic poster.
It is. And so he had this giant one in his room. And despite the fact I'd seen this movie a bajillion times, this poster has been staring me in the face every fucking day of my childhood. I can see the names right there. Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn. And yet it still wasn't until like my late teens I went, that was Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
Like
like he's borderline unrecognizable from his other roles, like with this mustache and his hair and his glasses and his mannerisms. Like he does not seem like Bruce.
Like I just didn't understand. I'm like, but I looked at it and I could see the word. How did the word and him not connect. Like, that's just how different he was for me. Everybody was so not being pigeonholed in this film. Everybody was definitely stepping out of their comfort zone, and it's just so much fun. Goldie Hawn actually got injured on the set of this when they were doing their shovel fight scene. Meryl did actually hit Goldie in the face, and she ended up with a cut. So now she's got a bit of a scar on her face, courtesy of Meryl Streep.
Yes.
How many people get to go and say Meryl Streep scarred my face?
Yeah, it's good that she was Goldie Hawn and not some up-and-comer, because that story would be a lot less flattering. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they were actually swinging shovels at each other. I can't believe that.
They were really
because, like, you could tell when Goldie Hawn's laying, and it's like one of a really good transition where she like falls on the street, and then she looks over and she sees the car coming, and she covers herself, like her hair comes down, and then the car like backs up right to her and then drives away, and then she looks up. I was like, that was really seamless editing, because it was either a stunt woman or a dummy.
Yeah.
Like, because that's a dangerous ass stunt for someone to actually be laying in the car and depending on that driver to brake at the right moment.
Oh, totally.
But it was really a seamless transition to where like she just looks up, and I was like, that was good. That was really good.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of good moments, because again, it's one of those things. Anytime you go back in time and look at a different film, you have to not look at look at all the amazing techniques we have now. You're like, hang on, how did they do that back then? So I feel like that with like one of my favorite pieces of effects that they did, it's one of the more subtle ones. It's when they shoot and show us the shadows of Helen and Madeline fighting, and you know which ones are which, because Helen's shadow has the giant hole in it. I'm like, I freaking love this. I like, how did you do that?
Yeah, you could tell they put like a green screen hole on Goldie Hawn, because like just the background looks like, now, I mean, it's, almost 30 years old. You can see like it looks kind of off, but like when Meryl Streep just goes, hi, just does that with her hand, like it still looks good. Like someone had to composite that, and I can see why this won the Oscar for visual effects, because it's pretty seamless. And I mean, especially in '92, like, despite the twisted head talking, I feel like that was the only uncanny valley moment for me. But everything else, like all the neck breaks, all like them shattering to a million pieces, and like the talking heads, like that worked.
Yeah, even Helen getting out of the is it a pool or a pond? I don't even know, because
the fountain.
Yeah, because she just gets out and the water's just pouring out of her stomach. I'm like, that's so good.
It's so good.
It's just so impressive. There's also so many little small things in the story that is just like it's not effects or anything. It's just visual storytelling, which is meant to show that these two women are such polar opposites. And I love when films, when the costume department really gets involved with trying to tell part of the story. And sometimes people don't notice it. I notice it in this one because going through the film, Madeline is always wearing white and Helen is always wearing red. And the only time that they're not is when Helen is telling how they're going to kill Madeline. In her head, in her little story in her head, the colors have been reversed. She's wearing white and Madeline is wearing red, and that's the only time that happens. And then of course we get later on where they're wearing the same colors, because they're on good terms now. They're good friends. Yeah. It's all good. But little things like that, I think there's just really beautiful intricacies. But I love this story that is making fun of LA culture and this fake thing and this obsession with youth and beauty.
That's where I wish they would have done a little bit more, and maybe it's because it was the 90s and maybe people wouldn't have understood it, or maybe they wasn't ready for it, or the Weinsteins were still in power, so you didn't want to call too much attention to that or something. But I feel like nowadays they would have really leaned into it, and I don't know if it would have made it better, because I don't want to say it would have made it better, but it's just something I wish they would have done, is lean more into Meryl Streep when she did it, she should have gotten like a new role, like a starring role in something, because you know you open the movie with her failing on Broadway and everyone hating it except for Bruce Willis, and
I
I feel
fucking
like
love that song though.
it is a funny song. Um, but just like her get a role or something, you know, her like rejuvenate her career, and like Goldie Hawn gets invited to her book signing, or her like you know star on Hollywood Boulevard, or she gets the Concrete Hands or something like that. Like they should have really leaned into the ramifications of Meryl Streep's rejuvenation,
Okay.
like just to prove like how shallow this business is that it's so appearance driven, and those 10 years that you get like are worth it for a lifetime of, you know, seeing your loved ones die, like Bruce Willis says, of like not really living a life because you're not gonna die, you can't really live. And so like they should have leaned into more of that, of like what Meryl Streep went through when she was rejuvenated and de-aged.
I think the difference, and it comes back to, you know, why did these two completely fall apart, and all the other people who had this happen didn't, is because it really speaks to how shallow and vapid these two characters are. That it's not even just being so obsessed with themselves, they're also so obsessed with this other person that nothing else exists. Yeah. And it is literally like depicting like, well, you already were kind of rotten on the inside anyway, and now it's very literal. And I feel like that because of the two of them, they were never going to be able to enjoy. I mean, Helen's obviously been able to enjoy far more years of this, but still, she didn't really do anything with it. She didn't take it to be, you know, beautiful and successful. She did it so she could get to a point where she could get back at Madeline. Like that. Yeah. That's her one goal.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like it doesn't matter like what role Meryl Streep got. It was literally just about inviting her to her premiere or book signing or whatever she would have done. Or she should have gone back to the young guy's house. One, it should have been Goldie Hawn that young guy was sleeping with, because that would have been the ultimate fuck you to her. Like, okay. Like the shirtless dude that she goes, you know, to his back porch.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
It should have been Goldie Hawn. Don't ask me how that would have happened, but it should have been her that dude was banging, because that would have been like I stole this guy back from you, and now I'm gonna steal Bruce Willis as well. And then she should have invited her to a book signing, or just something. And then at that book signing, or when she, like, you know, she comes to visit her in the dressing room, that's when they have the fight. So she has to come out with like a neck brace or like a scarf and like try and get through this, you know, premiere all fucked up and like falling apart. And that would have been hilarious. Like, because this movie is like a madcap kind of slapstick comedy at its core. So really like lean into like, oh, you have this, you have what you want, but you just can't stop going after this person. You can't stop one-upping each other, and that's what's ruining your life. But you never got that with Meryl Streep's character. You never got like, okay, I'm doing this to get back at her. You never got that moment. Like, she never even says like, oh, look how good I look, or see how everyone thinks how good I look better than you now. Like, you never got that moment. So it felt like literally the minute she comes home, she falls down the stairs. I was like, oh, okay, so we're not gonna go into that part.
I mean, I get it, but I've always loved that a lot of those little things are little subtleties in the film, and so you can have a bit more fun with it. I also think it's funny that every time I pick a movie, you pretty much just rewrite the entire script.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it just should have happened faster. Like I don't know. Like this movie just felt a little slow for me. Okay. Of like I said, you know, I don't know. But I mean, I wasn't like, you know, hating it or like, oh my God, hurry up. I was almost like perplexed. I was like, oh, she just fell down the stairs and we have 30 minutes left. Okay, that's like that felt like a second act type thing. And I was like, what's gonna happen? What? Okay. But no, like, I like the performances. Like I said, it's always nice to see Bruce Willis try, because you don't see him try anymore. and I'm honestly, I'm glad it's a film I'm glad I watched, because people have been telling me to watch it for years, and I've seen that just coming from an age where you go to Blockbuster, I've seen that fucking VHS cover for 30 years, or until Blockbuster died. I've been seeing that
Stop making me seem
in
older.
video stores for so long, and I'm so glad I finally watched it because I was like, why? What is happening on this cover? This girl's neck is twisted. He's got a candelabra through his stomach. What is happening?
And who knew it was that accurate?
Yeah.
Like I said, I love some of the subtleties. I think one of my favorite subtle moments that speaks to how vain and fake the whole LA beauty culture scene is when Madeline goes to the salon to get another little touch up, and this character Anna, who I guess is one of the beauticians, played by Michelle Johnson, and there she is going with this very thick French.
But you were just here for 3 weeks ago.
It's a very traumatic process to the body. And then her boss just randomly appears and she's going, I'm sorry, Mr. Chagall, I'm really, really sorry. Like that accent.
I really tried.
That accent just...
And it was very subtle. I did like how they did that because like they didn't give her a bunch of lines. It was like you have to be paying attention for her to like drop the accent. I like that.
I love it. I think that's such a beautiful moment. It speaks volumes to just the entire film of like, this is the world. It's like everybody, it's a performance. Everybody's fake. It's not real.
And it's absolutely true. Like people would go to a beautician and be like, oh, I don't want to get a nip and tuck from this American person. I want to get it from this fancy French person for some fucking reason.
I also love it's not really a celebrity appearance like all the others because this person is actually playing a character, but Fabio is in this. He plays one of Liesl's bodyguards.
Yes. I thought that. I was like, "There's no way that's Fabio."
It is
Fabio.
It is.
That's so 90s. I love it.
I can never get enough of this film, and it's just it's one of those films that, despite the fact that I see all the nuances and all this stuff, for me it's just that film. I'm gonna just sit back. I'm gonna lip sync the entire film. I'm gonna have the time of my life. And then as soon as it's over, I'm like, let's do that again,
That's great.
I love that.
That's funny.
So, here we go. What do you give Death Becomes Her?
I give it a 2.5 out of 5. Not like, it sounds like a negative rating, but I guess I'd give it like a C- or something like that. Like it's not terrible, but I don't see myself watching it again.
Things would be different if you were gay.
Yes, that's very true.
We're going back to Grindr now.
Yeah, full circle right there, guys. Make sure you listen to all 80 minutes of the podcast, otherwise that ending is gonna be real weird. But yeah, it wasn't like any, it wasn't Bloodfest or anything like that. But I just don't see myself watching it again. But I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad you like it so much. And my roommate's the same way. My roommate came in and he's like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "Death Becomes." He's like, "Oh my God, where did you find this?" I was like, "On Amazon." He's like, "Is it free?" I was like, "No, I had to rent it." He's like, "Oh." Well, I was like, "Well, I have this for 48 hours if you want to watch it later." He's like, "Can I watch it now?" I was like, "No, because you don't shut up during movies, and especially movies you like." So he probably watched it, so he's probably glad you picked it.
Yay! Okay, so has roommate forgiven me for the Mandy situation then?
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't asked him, but I'll wait till he rewatches it, and we'll see about this, because he was pretty mad at you about that.
I'm only human, man. I'm only human.
And Mandy is God.
For me,
I keep looking for that GIF because like people use the term God or whatever, and it's just like Nicolas Cage about to squeeze the guy's brains out, and he's like, "I'm your God now," in like that super distorted voice. I was like, I need to make that GIF because it's so perfect.
Do it then. Go on, whip it up.
I need to.
Yeah, for me, Death Becomes Her is a 5 out of 5 for me. I have no issues, no negatives about this film. I mean, I can remember I would have had to have been 3 or 4 years old in my great-grandmother's house, sitting in her bedroom, which was huge, in this big bed, almost the same size as Madeline Ashton's bed in this movie.
Oh my gosh, that bed. Oh,
Being
I love
being
it.
this teeny tiny little kid curled up in this bed, watching this movie on there in the pitch black, and then there's like thunder and lightning on the screen. I'm like, this is this is good. I like this stuff. Like that set the tone for the movies of the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But oh god, so
I
yeah,
liked our random movie month.
we should have more than more. It's funny because it's almost like it wasn't that random due to the.
It wasn't like there's a more connect. That's like some 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon right there.
It's like, what's happening? Like, is that just a coincidence, or are just we like that in tune with each other? Like, I don't know what it is.
Starting to be
I don't know what's happening.
2 months off. Don't miss a step.
I'll take it. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Run with it. I mean, we'll probably have
So-
another random one in the future. I personally would like to do a theme for the next one instead of going random.
Yeah, we'll do a theme for the next one for sure. I'm sure it's. I'll just say right now, it's probably gonna be something romantic because it's February. We'll do some Valentine's Day stuff. I know we're both single. We'll deal with it. But I don't know if it's gonna be like serious. Like maybe I should just like make you watch Blue Valentine and then you'll want to kill yourself.
Oh my god. Please, please don't.
You watch Blue Valentine, and I'll rewatch Marriage Story, and then we'll just cry.
Great, we'll just have a lovely episode where we cry into Haagen-Dazs and Ben and Jerry's and just
Yep.
call it a day.
Exactly.
Oh,
There'll be no
that'd
film
cool.
discussion.
Oh dear God. No, I mean, actually, now that you said
Uh-oh.
that, one film on my limited movie shelf just popped out at me, and it's saying, I think it's like the only romance film I have on my shelf.
Oh.
And, yeah, I don't know if you've seen that, but I think that's the one I'm gonna go with.
Okay. Don't spoil it now. Just DM it to me on Twitter. So.
I will.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. Sorry we missed December. That was completely my fault.
It
I'm
was.
still getting used to like my busier schedule, but this is definitely a priority for me because I love talking about movies with Ashley, and I love like differing opinions. Like, it's still fun to calmly debate about movies that we do or do not like. Ashley, where can they find you?
My house.
Oh, so give your address, please.
Oh, you can find me at the Movie Oracle on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, hell, even Tumblr. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you already have access to my YouTube channel, and
Look at that.
and links to all my stuff and Ben's stuff are in the description box. You can also find our podcast, unless you're listening to it there, on SoundCloud and iTunes.
Woo!
All that shit's there too. And again, everything is in the description box, because when I say I'ma put stuff in the description box, I put stuff in the description box. Unlike certain other people I know.
Yeah, I know.
He's terrible.
You know what?
at
It was
He's shit
enough
at
of a chore to get that fucking thing downloaded because my software is just so incompatible with literally everything else that I forgot to put anything in the description box.
I find it absolutely hilarious. If you have watched any of Ben's Journey to 300 series, which there were a couple of movies he watched for the first time and broke my little heart that he didn't like them. Ah, damn. But that's neither here nor there. And he goes and says this shit, and he's like, oh, I watched this for my podcast that I do with my friend the Movie Oracle. It's like, I'll put a link to it in the description. I'm just like, where is this link? Where is this imaginary link that doesn't exist?
Yeah, I know.
He's
I say things and then I edit it and then I re-edit it and I'm just like, I forgot.
It's also going to be one of those things where it's just like, yes, it's going to be one of those times he's going to forget to put the movie picture on the screen. He's just going to be pointing to thin air.
Oh, it's happened. It has happened. Absolutely.
Oh dear. Well, as always, we have had a swell time talking about. I don't really actually know what we talked about.
we talked about it a lot, and I'm really enjoyed it. I liked starting out the podcast, not like diving in, like just kind of catching up and bullshitting for a while.
Yeah, I think we jump into the movies a little bit too fast, and I think people need to see that we actually talk. We can
Yeah.
actually have a conversation that's not necessarily about movies. We get along,
Hmm.
you know.
For sure.
I don't stick around with him, just because he pays me to. I swear that's not it. You might.
Yeah, and I don't have, scandalous photos that I'm blackmailing Ashley to put me on her podcast. Absolutely not. Subscribe to my Patreon to get those photos that definitely don't exist, but
Oh god, you are a bastard. You are.
I know.
And yet
really
I
am.
love you anyway.
I love you too.
How do we
Alrighty,
get there?
guys. We will see you hopefully before the end of next month. I will make it a priority to record a little earlier, and maybe in March we'll squeeze out 2 to make up for December. But until then, thank you so much for watching or listening, y'all. Later.
Bye.